Today I want to revisit the topic of destiny swaps because I still receive so many questions about it. I realized that while I've shared my personal experiences, especially in my video on how to reverse a destiny swap, I haven't actually created a clear, straightforward Destiny Swap 101 breakdown. So in this episode, part 1 of the series, we're going to unpack the fundamentals, what a destiny swap really is, the 3 main types of swaps, how they work, and the signs you might be experiencing one. By the end of this episode, you'll have a much clearer understanding of this concept and how it shows up in people's lives. Before we dive in, I want to give a quick shout out to a young woman from Brooklyn who reached out to me with her own destiny swap story. The details you shared about Anora and your experience were powerful, and I'd love to cover it for you. If you're watching this, please reach back out to me at contact@prettygirldiscernment.com so we can go deeper into your story. Now let's get into it. Destiny swapping happens when someone tries to hijack not only your spiritual assignment, but also your physical life position, your blessings, relationships, or opportunities. It is both a spiritual and physical invasion, where a person attempts to occupy the space God uniquely designed for you. Sometimes it happens consciously and deliberately. Other times it is done unconsciously, driven by envy, insecurity, or spiritual manipulation. There are 3 main forms of this phenomenon. Number 1, the sociopath type, I want to be you. This type targets your very identity. Individuals operating in this mode lack a solid sense of self, so they attempt to inhabit yours. They observe, admire, and then imitate everything about you. Your energy, personality, style, behaviors, and even your spiritual gifts. Often these people are not strangers. They come from within your circle, friends, family, coworkers, or acquaintances, people who sense your unique energy and potential. At first it might look like admiration, but over time it becomes clear. They are trying to become you. They mimic how you dress, the way you speak, the foods you enjoy, even the people you form relationships with. I explained this type of destiny swap in my Katrina video, and I call it the primitive swap because it is as old as human history itself. This is the oldest and most basic form of destiny theft. When men waged wars in ancient times, they didn't just kill their enemies, they took their identities. They seized their land, claimed their wives, and absorbed their lineage as their own. By doing so, they erased the defeated man's name and legacy, while continuing it through themselves. That is the most ancient example of destiny swapping. An act of conquest at both the physical and spiritual level. In modern times, this primitive swap still happens, just in different forms. For example, consider adultery. A woman who envies your life gets close to your husband, seduces him, and takes him for herself. Suddenly, your former last name becomes her current last name. She may live in the very house you once decorated, drive the car you left behind, or even raise your children. Piece by piece, she absorbs the life that was once yours and attempts to step into your role. This is the first type of destiny swap, an attempt to displace you by wearing your identity, consuming your blessings, and assuming your place in the story God wrote for you. So essentially, this is a physical swap. It happens when someone literally wants to live in your house, wear your clothes, and possess your belongings. As I explained in my Katrina video, the origin of this type of destiny swap can be traced back to men. They were the first to wage war, conquer other men's territories, and take their lands and wives, assuming not just their possessions, but also their position. So, Type 1 destiny swap is the most primitive and physical form of swapping. Number 2, the sorcerer or diabolical type. I want your position. Unlike the primitive identity-based swap, this type is far more calculated and spiritual. It is the work of those who operate with sorcery, witchcraft, or occult practices to block, delay, and hijack your God-ordained destiny. The goal is not just to mimic who you are, it is to dislodge you from your divine assignment so they can step into the position meant for you. The enemy accomplishes this by attacking your God-given authority and spiritual vitality. These attacks are designed to push you into cycles of fear, instability, and survival mode so that you cannot walk boldly in the purpose God assigned to you. They won't just send spirits to delay, block, or dislodge you from your assignment. They'll also unleash spirits of anxiety, depression, and even death, hoping you'll have an accident or remove yourself from the land of the living. When that happens, you inadvertently create a clean doorway for them to enter, without them ever having to lift a finger. In more severe cases, they'll conspire with others to take you out, a tactic you often see in celebrity circles. This usually happens when one person's death stands to benefit not just a single individual, but an entire group. It also occurs frequently in celebrity circles because many celebrities are Luciferians, making them more vulnerable to destiny swaps since they aren't protected by the Most High. In the initial stages of this swap, instead of flowing in divine creativity, joy, and confidence, you may find yourself trapped in stagnation, doubt, or defeat. Here's how these assaults often manifest spiritually and physically. Foundation attacks, your security in Christ. You suddenly feel unsafe, unsupported, or like the ground beneath you is shaking. These attacks target your identity as a child of God, making you doubt your authenticity, worth, or even your right to exist in the place God has called you to. Creativity and fruitfulness attacks. Your joy, passion, and ability to create with God seem drained. You lose interest in assignments or projects you once loved, and fruitfulness turns into barrenness. Just as the enemy sought to cut off Israel's fruit in the wilderness, he seeks to silence and dry up your God-given well of creativity. Authority and confidence attacks. Your spiritual boldness weakens. Where you once had courage and conviction, you now feel timid, unmotivated, or unable to push forward. The enemy wages war on your willpower, trying to paralyze you so that you abandon your destiny altogether. These attacks can come through the presence and words of others, through curses and witchcraft, or even through negative self-talk that you unknowingly agree with. Scripture tells us that life and death are in the power of the tongue. Proverbs 18:21. So when you internalize destructive words, whether spoken over you by others or whispered to yourself, you unknowingly grant permission for the enemy's assault to persist. This is why Paul reminds us to put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. Ephesians 6:11. The diabolical type of destiny swap is not merely human envy at work. It is demonic orchestration attempting to reposition you out of alignment with God's will, so someone else can occupy what was never theirs to begin with. The victim of this swap often ends up deceased or mentally unstable, trapped in perpetual cycles of delay, and in some cases, even homeless. Number 3. Energy siphoning. I want your light. The third type of destiny swap is often called energy siphoning. It is a form of destiny swap, more subtle and pervasive than the others. Instead of outright taking your identity or position, individuals, sometimes driven by envy, greed, or spiritual darkness, seek to drain your God-given energy, favor, and momentum. In the spiritual realm, there is always a principle of exchange. To gain power, wealth, or influence, something of equal value must be given. Destiny swapping and energy siphoning are darker, distorted versions of this law. Some people, parasitic, narcissistic, or sociopathic, recognize that God has not assigned them certain blessings, so they attempt to take them unnaturally. This may involve manipulation, jealousy, or even occult practices, but more commonly, it happens subtly and daily through things like the evil eye, envy, or spiritual agreements. Those with strong, bright energy, people walking in purpose and favor, naturally attract attention. Just as a desert traveler is drawn to water, parasitic individuals and dark spiritual forces are drawn to your light. While they siphon your energy, you are left drained, depleted, and vulnerable, while they appear to walk in your favor and momentum as if it were theirs. They steal your essence and cloak themselves in your light. In the spiritual realm, they can appear as you, reflecting your light while you begin to unknowingly embody their negative traits, confusion, and chaos. This type of destiny swap requires constant proximity to you, as you are their source of energy. It commonly occurs with friends, family members, and very often in romantic relationships, especially where warlocks or occult practitioners are involved. Energy siphoning doesn't require deep occult knowledge. Anyone operating in jealousy, envy, or spiritual manipulation can attempt it. Even subtle interactions, conversations, friendships, or repeated exposure can become avenues for energy transfer. That's why physical intimacy, handshakes, or even consistent emotional interaction must be approached with discernment. Your energy is sacred, and once accessed, it can fuel another person's path while slowing yours. This phenomenon is sometimes generational. Families steeped in unrepented sin, occult activity, or generational iniquity can become power sources for those skilled in spiritual manipulation. But when God's light, prayer, and spiritual authority intervene, these sources of energy are cut off, and the dark influence loses power. Believers called to high purpose are high-value targets. The kingdom of darkness will attempt to disrupt your path, but as Paul instructs, put on the whole armor of God. Ephesians 6:11. Identify open doors, whether sin, soul ties, generational curses, or unhealthy connections, and close them. Protect your peace, your presence, and your energy. When you reclaim your God-given life force through prayer, obedience, and discernment, you reclaim your destiny. Remember, God's light cannot be stolen without consequence. When someone attempts to siphon your energy, they invite destruction into their own life. Your best defense is spiritual vigilance, prayer, and wise boundaries. Guard your energy and let God restore and amplify it, keeping you aligned with your divine calling. Destiny swapping attempts are very real, but it is crucial to understand that God's will and divine plan cannot be permanently overridden. While individuals, through envy, manipulation, or spiritual attack, may attempt to redirect your path or delay your blessings, God's sovereignty remains unshakable. Temporary setbacks, obstacles, or spiritual battles may arise, but if you remain rooted in faith, obedience, and alignment with His Word, He will restore what was stolen and even multiply it. As Joel 2:25 reminds us, I will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten. God not only restores what was lost, but also honors perseverance, protecting and elevating those who walk faithfully in His purpose. It is important to know, however, that those who do not walk with Christ are far more vulnerable. Destiny swap attacks can do more than delay or disrupt, they can endanger life itself. The enemy's ultimate goal is to remove you from the path, from your assignment, and in extreme cases, even from the land of the living. Without the protection of God's presence and authority, individuals are susceptible not only to spiritual stagnation or loss of blessings, but also to life-threatening consequences associated with these attacks. Destiny attacks are not random. They often target individuals with high spiritual potential or divine assignments. The enemy seeks to create delays, doubt, and confusion, but he cannot thwart the ultimate plan God has ordained for your life. These attacks may feel overwhelming, but they are opportunities to strengthen your faith, refine your character, and walk more boldly in your God-given purpose. Biblical examples of destiny swaps. Joseph. Genesis 37-50. Joseph's brothers, particularly the older sons, acted as destiny swappers. Out of jealousy over Joseph being their father's favorite, they plotted to kill him and ultimately sold him into slavery. Their goal was to claim Joseph's blessing, favor, and family position for themselves, making them the replacement in God's favor within the household. This was a primitive identity and position swap. They sought to hijack the role God had assigned to Joseph, wanting to be the favored son, the central figure of blessing, and the one carrying the family's prominence. Despite their attempt, God's protection nullified their plan, elevating Joseph beyond their reach and ensuring his divine assignment was fulfilled. Another example is Moses. Moses, Exodus 1-2, Pharaoh and the Egyptian rulers acted as destiny swappers when they issued the decree to kill all Hebrew baby boys. Their intent was to remove the future deliverer before he could rise, preventing Moses from fulfilling his God-given role as the leader of Israel. This was a diabolical destiny swap, where the enemy sought to remove the rightful person entirely in order to seize control of the outcome. Pharaoh's motive was to dictate the destiny of Israel by eliminating the one God had appointed to lead and deliver his people, yet God intervened, preserving Moses' life and ensuring that he would step into his divine assignment. And the third example is Jesus. Jesus, Matthew 2. King Herod and his advisors acted as destiny swappers when Herod ordered the massacre of male infants in Bethlehem. Their aim was to destroy the child who was the Messiah before he could fulfill his divine mission. This represents a high-level diabolical destiny swap, attempting to remove the rightful heir of God's kingdom to claim authority and control over God's plan. Herod sought to occupy the power and influence that belonged solely to Jesus by eliminating him before his assignment could manifest. God's protection preserved Jesus, allowing him to fulfill his redemptive mission, demonstrating that destiny cannot be permanently stolen from those walking in God's purpose. In each of these examples, the destiny swapper is the individual or group trying to step into the place that God had assigned to another, whether through jealousy, control, or fear. The principle is clear. Destiny swappers attempt to hijack what God has ordained for someone else, but God's protection and sovereignty ensure that the rightful person ultimately fulfills their purpose. How destiny swaps are attempted. Destiny swapping is rarely obvious. It is often carried out through subtle spiritual manipulations, orchestrated by someone attempting to hijack your blessings, favor, or God-given purpose. Recognizing these tactics is crucial for protecting yourself and staying aligned with your destiny. Some common methods used by destiny swappers include 1. Targeting key areas of your life. Most people are jealous of either beauty or status. Destiny swappers often focus first on areas such as beauty, attempting to cause insecurity, illness, or spiritual attacks that reduce your attractiveness. Finances, blocking promotions, delaying payments, or creating financial instability. Job or position, sabotaging opportunities or recognition. Relationships, creating confusion, conflicts, or attachments that prevent spiritual alignment. They will send spirits of infirmity, poverty, confusion, jealousy, division, strife, and distraction to attack you. 2. Lowering your spiritual frequency. Destiny swappers work to weaken your spirit, making you vibrate on a lower frequency. One common tactic is delaying your blessings. When important outcomes are postponed, frustration and self-doubt can set in. Many people begin speaking negatively over themselves, saying things like, "Maybe I don't deserve this." They will send spirits of discouragement, depression, despair, and self-doubt to attack you. 3. Demonic covenants. The person attempting to swap your destiny may enter into agreements with unclean spirits, principalities, or demonic forces, granting them legal access to interfere in your life. These covenants are designed to redirect your favor, blessings, or assignment to the attacker. They will send spirits of theft, usurpation, and legal rights in the spiritual realm to attack you. 4. Altars and sacrifices. Destiny swappers sometimes perform rituals, sacrifices, or other occult practices to empower demonic forces against you. These spiritual setups give them leverage, allowing them to drain your energy, manipulate circumstances, or obstruct your God-given path. They will send spirits of oppression, bondage, and spiritual control to attack you. 5. Personal links. A person attempting to swap your destiny may use your personal items, such as your name, photograph, hair, clothing, or belongings, to create a spiritual connection to you. This channel allows them to target you energetically and influence your life from a distance. They will send spirits of attachment, monitoring, and influence to attack you. 6. Dream manipulation. They may attempt to infiltrate your subconscious through dreams in order to affect your spiritual and physical life. Examples include eating or drinking in dreams, which can introduce spiritual contamination; sexual dreams representing spiritual marriages with demonic spirits, such as incubus or succubus entities; creating attachments that interfere with your destiny; receiving gifts, clothing, or items in dreams, which act as symbolic curses or spiritual transfers, giving them influence over your life. They will send spirits of ingestion, defilement, curse transfer, and incubus-succubus spirits to attack you. 7. Animal attacks in dreams or visions. Destiny swappers may use threatening animals, such as snakes, spiders, or predators, as symbols of monitoring or attacking spirits. These messages are targeted attempts to intimidate or destabilize you spiritually. They will send spirits of intimidation, fear, and predatory attack to attack you. 8. Word curses, declarations, and disguised envy. Words are powerful spiritual portals. Destiny swappers often speak over your life or pray against your assignment, even under the guise of encouragement. Intent is spiritual currency, and spoken words can shift timelines and influence your path. Examples include friends who copy your ideas, then dominate the spiritual space you created; relatives who erode your confidence through doubt or subtle criticism. "I don't think she can handle it. That's more than she deserves. We'll see if she makes it far. I hope it doesn't last long for her. That opportunity should have been mine. She's too inexperienced for that. I wouldn't count on that working out for her. Let's see how quickly she falters." Signs your destiny may have been swapped or manipulated. Destiny swapping is a real form of spiritual warfare. The enemy and those who operate in witchcraft often attempt to hijack, delay, or divert the blessings and purpose God has placed over your life. These are the major signs that your destiny may be under attack. Physical and material signs. 1. Decline in beauty and appearance. Your skin, glow, or physical features begin to deteriorate without reason. Sometimes you may even start resembling the very person attacking you, because they are trying to wear your destiny. 2. Financial drain. Despite hard work and wise money management, your money slips through your fingers. No matter what you do, finances don't stay. 3. Unexplained sickness or fatigue. Chronic exhaustion, sudden illnesses, or mysterious conditions doctors can't explain may point to destiny tampering. 4. Extreme lethargy and brain fog. It feels like you're walking through fog, tired, uninspired, and disconnected from passions you once loved. Spiritual signs. 5. Sexual or disturbing dreams. Dark entities may shapeshift into people you know, an ex, a friend, or even strangers in your dreams. For women, dreams of pregnancy or breastfeeding often signal interference with destiny. 6. Loss of dreams altogether. Dreams are one of the main ways God communicates about destiny. If you suddenly stop dreaming, that's a major red flag. 7. Spiritual disconnection. You feel resistant to prayer, the Bible, or gospel music. This is not natural. It's a targeted attempt to pull you away from God. 8. Symbols in dreams or nature. God in your spirit may warn you through signs such as snakes, crows, or dead animals. Dreams of black widow spiders can symbolize astral parasites weaving a web over your destiny. Life circumstances. 9. Stagnation and constant setbacks. No matter how hard you work, your life feels stuck. Opportunities collapse and you keep moving backward instead of forward. 10. Cycles of repetition. You notice patterns of failure repeating again and again, keeping you trapped in the same struggles. 11th, loss of favor and blessings. Opportunities slip away, finances collapse, and everything you touch fails. It feels as though your blessings have been siphoned to someone else. 12. Others benefiting from your struggles. You pour out effort but see no fruit, while others seem to thrive off your ideas, energy, or presence. Health and emotional signs. 13. Suicidal thoughts or depression. These spirits push you toward destruction so the enemy doesn't have to. Hopelessness, despair, and fatigue are their main weapons. 14. Addictions and destructive behaviors. Drinking, smoking, or compulsive habits become ways to cope when your soul senses you're off track. 15. Anger and mental breakdowns. Constant irritability, rage, or violent outbursts are signs of deep spiritual interference. Relationships and social signs. 16. Unexplainable rejection. You face rejection in relationships, marriage, friendships, school, or workplaces without logical reason. 17. Toxic or non-committed relationships. People use you, drain you, but never commit. They mimic love to extract your blessings without giving back. 18. Humiliation rituals and public shame. Bullying, gossip, rumors, and repeated embarrassment may be orchestrated to strip you of confidence. 19th. Mirroring and copying. Someone close to you may imitate your ventures, style, or even personality, and sometimes succeed where you struggle. Intuitive and subconscious signs. 20. Feeling invisible or muted. You feel overlooked or like someone else is living your life while you remain in the background. 21. Delays at critical moments. One missed decision or hesitation shifts your entire path off course. 22. Deep spiritual awareness that something is wrong. Even without evidence, your spirit senses interference. You know in your heart you're not walking in your full purpose. 23. Shift in energy or identity. Feeling off or unlike yourself or disconnected from your passions and sense of purpose. Destiny swaps are real, and the enemy will always try to interfere with what God has assigned to you. But remember this, no one can permanently steal what God has written for your life. If you've noticed signs of interference, that doesn't mean you've lost your path. It just means it's time to protect it. I know some of you watching this may have felt these attacks in your own life. I want you to know that help is coming. In the next video, we'll go deeper and talk about the spiritual consequences of hijacking another person's life, so you can understand what happens when spiritual thieves commit theft. After that, I'll share easy-to-follow, practical spiritual steps to reclaim your destiny and walk confidently in your God-given purpose. That's it for now. Again, to the girl from Brooklyn, when you asked me to cover the movie, I thought you were talking about covering a destiny swap within a film, like I did in Mr. Ripley and Saltburn. So when you asked for my email, I thought it was odd because you could have just given me the name of the movie in the comments. Then, when you wrote your story with so many details, I understood why you needed my email. And before I could even give it to you, you had already deleted your comments. I completely understand. I wouldn't want my business so public either, so I'm sorry I didn't give you my email right away. Again, it's contact@prettygirldiscernment.com. You can also find it in my bio. I'd love to hear from you. And guys, in general, if you have your own destiny swap stories that you'd like me to cover in my Storytime series, reach out. I'd love to hear from you all. Your stories not only help me create content, but they also help others feel seen, understood, and less alone in what they've gone through. So don't be shy. Your testimony could be the breakthrough someone else needs to recognize and overcome what's happening in their own life.